So we're just starting off today's version of Trade of the Day Live here, kicking it off here this Thursday. Helaine, really excited to be here in the room.
Thanks.
Certainly, per usual, again, lots of things going on with the market. Things are kind of unfolding, at least thus far through the week,
Yep.
how we were, kind of anticipating things might end up working out this week. So, we'll see where things kind of land and conclude tomorrow. But, interesting week in the market again here so far.
Yep, I couldn't agree more, Blaine. Let's go ahead and let's jump into today's overview.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me go ahead and pull up the charts here. And, obviously, Helene, there's been a lot of, noise, swirling around the markets, a lot of stories, kind of politics bleeding over into the market. Certainly, none of us particularly love when that happens, but sometimes, unfortunately, becomes a market story. So,
Hmm.
despite all that, I'll say the market has remained very resilient. We'll see, some of the questions going on around the Fed, some of the geopolitical stuff. So it seemed like the market got a little spooked yesterday. Obviously had a pretty big intraday sell-off kind of across the board. There's a
Hmm.
lot of red on the screen yesterday. You can see that clearly showing up on the charts right here. But with all that said, by the end of the day, we had a pretty big day. Late in the day rally, stocks really came back, kind of finished near the highs of the day. And Helene, one just candle pattern that we really like to see on the charts. When we get into those really heavy selling days, is that bullish hammer pattern. That's exactly what showed up yesterday. You probably
Hmm.
saw this yourself on the S&P. Most of the other indexes looked very much like this as well. They opened down on the day, sold off substantially throughout the day, and then came, kind of roaring back in the last hour of trading. There's a lot of support coming in that last hour. Obviously, that set things up nicely today. Again, we're pushing up right up against those all-time closing highs yet again. On the S&P, pressing up against 7,000, just kind of like we said just a couple days ago, like we kind of thought things were going to unfold. But interesting trading this week thus far. We'll see if we can end up closing even higher on the week to wrap things up and get a new all-time high close or not. But obviously still remains to be seen. But what else are you seeing here, Helene, just kind of from a trend analysis where things stand in the market?
Yeah, of course, as you said, Blaine, like overall things are looking bullish for SPY, but you kind of glazed over this point, and I just wanted to take another moment to talk about it, and it's that bullish hammer that we saw yesterday. Um,
Specifically
so,
that.
you know, when we are seeing a strong trend for a stock or an ETF or an index, oftentimes we're seeing that trade at or above the middle counter channels, oftentimes making a series of higher highs and higher lows, but also trading up to the upper counter channels, down to the middle, and then bouncing off. And that's really what we saw yesterday with SPI. It went from trading near that upper counter channel to correcting down, selling off, but then bouncing off of the middle, which was confirmed with that hammer. And oftentimes, when we see that hammer, we see trading higher from there. So that is a bullish sign.
Yep, without a doubt. And, just continuing the recent series and kind of pattern that we've seen with this market, coming out of those, lows of, call it mid-November, the market's, continued to kind of get constructive. Obviously it's not going parabolic by any means at the S&P index level. There's other things that are rallying a little bit more. It's, been a bit more of a muted rally, but, arguably that's okay. If we're just kind of slowly kind of in this grind higher, I think after the run of last year, I think a lot of people will take that. But again, still continuing this really nice constructive series of higher highs and higher lows. You can see that very clearly showing on the chart right here. All the while, a lot of this rotation has been happening under the surface. A lot of different sectors have begun participating. We're starting to see a big broadening out across the market. A lot more stocks starting to participate to the upside. So, all in all, a really, really positive thing here. We're continuing that uptrend. The trend line buy signals are still strong. The market is not technically overbought. Looking at these charts, it's not trading, outside of any of our Keltner bands, anything like that. The RSI is not overheated. So all in all, really, really good signs there. Helene, anything else you want to touch on there? Because
Nope.
I
Let's
do want to go
jump in.
ahead and pivot. What's that?
I said, nope, let's jump into the next, Blaine.
Let's do it. So the next thing I just want to quickly touch on this, just to kind of show you, just truly how, broad, again, just focusing just on the US markets here. There's a lot of things, and different foreign markets too. Foreign developed markets that are continuing to look really, really strong as well. But just focusing just on the U.S. here. I mean, this is a chart of the Dow Jones right here, Helaine. Again, it's pushing up right up again up against its all-time high. It seems like the market has that 50,000 number for the Dow, within its sights and is really focused on it. I would say the Dow's chart probably looks better than anything. There's more momentum here, than many others. Some of the others that have run so far have gotten really overbought, but here's a great chart of the Dow showing you the move that's happening there. Helaine, we have talked extensively about what's going on in the equally weighted S&P 500. It's pretty, very similar story to what's going on in the Dow. It's just a more, broad representation of the market. It's less focused on some of those really, extremely heavily weighted, mega cap tech stocks, the $1 trillion market cap plus stocks, things like that, that on the cap weighted index, really, kind of punch above their weight, things like that. So, obviously seeing the equal weight S&P 500 here, just a massive move higher. It's, really taken off in the last couple of weeks, new all-time high. By a long shot today. It's up, about 0.7% right now. So huge move there. I mean, you look at the small caps, Helaine, Russell 2000, just really across the board.
Mhm.
Everything minus kind of tech is looking, really, really strong right now. Of
Yeah.
course, if we pull up, a chart of the NASDAQ, I'll just pull up the Qs for now. It's a really good representation. This, of course, is NASDAQ 100 index right here, still kind of in that consolidation pattern. But again, I think it's arguably setting up for a nice move, in the short to medium term upcoming. I think that's something that we're very likely to see. And I think, Helaine, you might have a little bit more to say about that later on. But, focusing on other pockets of the market, I mean, again, you just look at small caps right here, just a crazy move higher in the small caps here. Certainly it's gotten a little overbought here, looking at the IWM. It's been overbought for several days now. But just want to talk about just kind of really the, just great broadening we've seen across this market, Helaine.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Blaine. It's a very bold sign to see that broadening. And it's always interesting as somebody that trades to be a part of a sector rotation because, it's great because you're looking for that new opportunity and you're seeing it. But at the same time, it can sometimes hurt existing positions. I know
Yeah, it
that
can catch you off guard sometimes, without a doubt.
happened to me this past week with Costco. I was not this week, last couple weeks. I was bearish on Costco, confirmed bearish trend, and gosh, it turned around quickly and got me. But that's just part of trading, part of the market. There's sector rotation, and you adjust accordingly.
Yep, without a doubt. That's why it's important to, be a good manager of risk and have, a good system in place, where you can be disciplined, follow the system. And, when a trade doesn't go as planned, you can just go ahead and execute your, discipline, rules-based system and just get out of it. So,
Exactly.
really important to have that, that kind of fail-safe built in. But with all that said, Helaine, I know we do have several trade ideas here
Yeah.
today, so I think now would be a good time to go ahead and pivot into those. And of course, once we go through our trade ideas of the day, we're going to go ahead and field both from the Zoom room and on TikTok as well. I know a lot of you always like to really, engage, throw out a lot of tickers, things like that, and we love it. So definitely start thinking about any of those that you want us to look at here in just a few moments. But with that said, Helaine, going to go ahead and hop into my trade of the day.
Okay.
It's one right here. It's one that I feel like we've covered this one before, but it's been quite some time since we've talked about it. But a bit of a unique play from the consumer staples sector, actually. This is one sector we don't talk about very often. But this ticker is MNST. This is Monster Beverage.
Okay.
And so this is, it's obviously consumer packaged goods company here, Monster energy drinks, things like that. They have a lot of other things in their portfolio, but just looking at the technicals here, I mean, Helaine, you don't find charts that look much better than this one right here. So
Oh,
maybe that's cause for concern. Maybe it looks too good. But yeah, I saw this chart today and I was like, wow, Monster looks really, really good. I know it's one that, been kind of keeping our eyes on here recently, but I saw it again today.
mhm.
It had a bit of a down day yesterday, reversed that again today. Just printed a new all-time high for the stock. Great series of higher highs and higher lows. Of course, our trend lines, looking at our 21-day EMA, that's our red line. Trading above our green line here, that's our longer term 63-day EMA. Again, you can see when the buy signal printed for the stock back in early to mid-August of last year. Stock was breaking out, nice series of higher highs and higher lows, finally broke out to new all-time highs. And it's continued to do that ever since. And certainly looks poised like it's going to continue to rally on from here. And one thing with this thing too, Helene, is we are getting into earnings season right now, so that's certainly something that we try to pay attention to with our trading.
Yeah.
You can take a look for Monster right here. They don't report earnings until almost the very end of February, so I have a nice long runway between now and then. Not really, it kind of throws that variable and kind of wild card out of the window, having that much runway in front of the trade. But getting back to the technicals here, one thing that encouraged me even more about this trade is looking at this lower chart down here. It's our MACD chart. It's one that we look at very frequently. It's a great indicator of momentum as it's building or fading. And so when you see this black line, that's the MACD line right there. Cross above the trigger line, which you can see here, that's our 9-day EMA, which you can see it actually did just today. This is not something that happened a week ago, several days ago. It triggered this morning. So we have a brand new MACD confirmation buy signal on top of all the great technicals up top. So, great signal to see that, great confirmation. The stock's not currently overbought at these current levels. It's trading inside of the Kelton channel, the upper band right there. So, offering a really attractive entry point for a trade on Monster Energy. So with that, let me go ahead and hop over into my trade idea that I found for today. It's specifically going to be landing on this February 20th option expiration date right here.
Okay,
And,
out.
yep. Yes, yeah, going, about a month out, a little over a month. But, taking a look at the monthly expiration there and actually looking to play this one just with a directional call option, Helene. I landed on this one here. It is, again, I really like the trend. I think this is one that can continue to benefit. Even in the current market conditions, there's a lot of things that broadened out. A lot of things have run pretty nicely. I think Monster probably still has a nice runway in front of it. So I landed on the 72.5 strike call for the February 20th option expiration date. Looking to just go ahead and buy to open that one right there. And so it looks like it's currently coming in. Oh, what happened there?
And as you're looking at this, Leo in the Zoom room said, "Hey, he said I almost pulled the trigger on this a couple days ago. I may do it yet. I love it, Leo. I love
Hey,
your
there we go.
great minds think alike, right?"
Yeah, no, I love that, Leo. Yeah, that's funny that you had spotted this one as well.
Yeah.
Obviously a really strong looking trade. Looks like I have to go just a touch above the midpoint just to get that one filled. So, let me see if I can go in. Yes, try right. Yeah, try. I'll leave it 710. I think I can probably get filled there. So
And
I'll leave my order there.
at MNST average on a killer trend right now. Blaine's looking to enter a call option purchase for MST. He's looking at the February 20th. What is that strike, Blaine?
Yeah, it's the February 20th, 72.5.
72.5 strike. So an in the money call option purchase allows him to get some time for that trade to work out, limits time value on that option.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and I just got that order filled right there. So,
Okay, really good. Blaine.
really excited about that order. Yeah, it's a trade that I, certainly personally really liked. It's one, again, the trend looked great, so I was glad I was able to get that order filled.
I like it. Okay, well, next up, I'm going to jump into my trade. And then, guys, if you are live with us, we are going to jump into your trade. So if you have not yet, go ahead, put some different stock symbols into the comments and put them in there. And in just about 5 minutes, we're going to jump into your trade, start analyzing them through the lens of a swing trader, a momentum trader, a trend follower. So go ahead and do that now. If you're enjoying, give us a like, give us a follow. We absolutely love being live with you guys all here. So my trade of the day is for XLK, which is an ETF. It is a technology ETF, specifically, following the tech sector. And, this is something interesting because we had talked about this on Tuesday. Blaine said, I really like where XLK is at. And, it had been a minute and I checked it out and I was like, it's interesting. It's consolidating. And, we do like watching consolidating stocks because oftentimes after a tight consolidation, they either break out or break down and then continue in that direction. And so I was watching XLK today and, they started today to really break higher. I know it's very close, but they had just broken, I believe, just above that previous high from the other day. And they started they're showing signs of trying to break out. And
Hmm.
today's move is showing that. Now, XLK long term is on a confirmed buy signal, trading above key moving averages, both the 35-day EMA and the 200-day moving average. After some choppy trading, they've been sideways, as I said, for almost a month now, almost a month. But I am liking what I'm seeing with today's move, that little break higher, that gap up, and I'm looking to trade them. I'm sure you guessed it, as a call option debit spread, guys, are tried and true, our favorite. I mean, my favorite type of trade with options, because it gives you downside protection in case a trade were to turn against you. You don't have to be right about the direction it's going to move, and you can still make money on the position. I'm looking at the February 27th, 137, 142 straight call option spread. When I was looking at it earlier, it was right at 4 points. Right now it's at 410. Ideally, I'm getting in at 4 or lower on a 5 point spread. That gives me at least a 25% profit potential on the position. So I'm going to do a limit order, good for the day, review, and I'm going to place that limit order at 4 points, see if I can get filled there. If not, I'll adjust it higher. Oh, I was filled. Awesome. I was
There
filled
you
at
go.
even. That means I have a 25% profit potential on that position. Additionally, it means just looking at the chart, I sold the 142 strike, which is just a bit above that lower counter channel. It gives me downside protection in case the stock and the trade were to turn against me. So I'm really happy with that trade. I am happy with where XLK is. Even if the stock continues to just chop around and consolidate, I could still make money using that trade.
Yeah, without a doubt. Helene, selling at 142, you certainly have some kind of technical support coming in at that level. So, if XLK, just continues to kind of chop around, sells off a bit, when it gets down to that range, it's got some support, once it starts to hit there. So I really like where you pick those strikes for the trade. It makes a lot of sense. It's an in the money spread, not crazy deep in the money. So you still keeping a nice risk to reward, profile with that trade.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really like it. It's like you said, we spotted this one on Tuesday and kind of talked about it, kind of talked about our thesis of our idea of kind of what this sector is likely to do
Mhm.
in the coming month or so. As we I think inevitably probably see some rotation out of some of the other sectors that have rallied so much
Mhm.
in the past couple months. So yeah, I love the trade. Great job finding that one.
Thanks, Blaine. And Leo said, Helaine, you're doing a spread, huh? Yes. I entered the February 27th, 137, 142 strike spread. That's the position that I took. And with that, guys, we've now gone through our trades of the day. We would love the opportunity to check out your trades of the day. So in the comments, in the chat, go ahead and enter in your symbol. We'd love to go ahead, analyze charts that you want us to take a look at. As a reminder, this is for educational purposes only. Trading incurs risk, including the risk of loss. So once again, we're looking at things through the lens of a swing trader, a momentum trader, a trend follower. Typically, we're doing shorter to medium term trades, just depending on the option strategy that we analyze. So go ahead, put those symbols in, and we're going to start jumping into them.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and just to kind of continue on with what you were saying there, Helene. Obviously, educational purposes only. The analysis we're doing here shouldn't be interpreted as official investment advice. But with that, Helene, I know we have a lot of tickers starting to come in. There's a ton of them coming in via TikTok. I know we have a
Yeah.
couple that have come in the Zoom chat thus far. So, folks, if you want to have any stock ticker, ETF ticker, whatever it is, analyze, you want us to take a look at it, we can kind of give you our 2 cents on them. Go ahead, post them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and start hopping in. But Helene, what's the first one?
Yeah, so this is from Feral Candle of the Vet. And said, out of all the market creators out there, you need to look at ITRI.
ITRI. I've
Oh,
never heard of this one before.
me
Hmm.
neither. Me neither, but interesting chart and wild movement, I will say.
Yeah, no kidding.
It looks like, just from a technical perspective, that maybe the stock is trying to reverse a previous bearish trend with a low
Totally.
made in late December. It's really early though, I would say. But but it's something that I'd keep an eye on for further confirmation of the trend reversal.
Yep, totally. Yeah, I'm not fully convinced that it's fully reversed yet. Obviously, it traded down, just kind of the bottom fell out, in late October, early November, just a huge downtrend there. But, it did trade down and found some support dating back to prior lows going back, to earlier in 25. So if you look, to where the stock traded down in late February, obviously in April, it traded down to those levels and those levels held. So it's trying to rally off of those, trying to kind of get up off the mat from those levels. So, there's things that are starting to look constructive. I totally agree. Not fully there yet myself, but it looks like it's trying to reverse.
Couldn't agree more, Blaine. Next up from Kai is NVO, Novo Nordisk.
NVO, yeah, I know this one kind of along with Lilly had a big sell off today. Helaine, did you say this was related to some like a news headline that moved that was negative for them?
Yeah, so if you guys were live with us on Tuesday, I went bullish on Lilly. I did a spread though, which gave me downside protection. And today I was not thrilled when I saw that Lilly was down 7.5% plus. And it was on news about, I want to say it was the FDA had maybe, let's see, uh, what was it? The FDA had delayed 2 drug reviews in the new voucher program after safety concerns. So because of that, LLY sold off. I'm not sure if NVO is sold off with it.
Yeah, probably, whether it was in sympathy with it or,
Yeah.
because they're competitors kind of in the same market. But yeah, I knew that both of these stocks were down pretty big today. You know,
Yes.
it certainly looked like it was trying to have a turnaround. It kind of, starting to push up against some resistance dating back to September, when the stock was trying to rally again. It rallied up to about that 60, 61 level and then failed again and sold off throughout the rest of the year. So, it popped back up to that level, which is encouraging, but, it should be anticipated that, as it got up to those levels, it was going to hit some resistance and,
Hmm.
it made a big move off of the lows from December. And then, it gets a negative print today, negative headline. So seeing that sell off, still hasn't fully quite reversed that downtrend yet. But I certainly still feel that it's getting constructive. Obviously, some pretty nasty movement in the stock today, but want to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it might be a good entry opportunity, especially when I see when I personally would see the resumption of the bull trend, maybe just an update from here, then it could provide a really good entry opportunity. And in the Zoom room, Alchemist just said postponed approval of GLP-1 oral pill till April.
That'll do it. Yep.
Yes, that would do it.
That'll do it. Yeah, I know that was a big, thing that both of these were rallying quite nicely on is to trying to, get the pill version of their latest, big drug out there. So,
Exactly.
yeah, that'll certainly do it. But I mean, just from a technical perspective, just looking at the charts, I mean, looking at my trend lines, I'm looking at the 21 and 63-day EMAs here. Just from a trend line perspective, we have a buy signal that's currently present for NVO triggered, in the first couple months of this year or first couple days of this year, earlier this month. And that's actually the first buy signal, according to my trend lines, Helaine, that this stock has had dating
Mhm.
all the way back to a very brief one in June of last year. It was just triggered and then was gone in a flash. So maybe that's what we're seeing here, but seeing the trend lines have that buy signal that's pretty fresh, I would say that's encouraging. Stocks trading above both of them. So, again, not one that I would be fully ready to jump in on.
Mhm.
'Cause there's some other things I'd like to see it clear first, but definitely some things to like about this one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Next up from Vacay is asking about KULR.
KULR. Man, we're getting
Okay.
new tickers today. I've never heard of some of these. So kind of more of a penny stockish type stock here. It looks like, about 200 million market cap, only about $4 a share. Helene, what do you think about this one?
This is a tough one. Typically we're trading stocks that are at least above $10, $15 per share. Technical analysis is really tough to work well on these low price stocks. But just looking at the technicals, it was in a consolidation period roughly from mid-November till recently, and clearly right now it's breaking out. So it's early signs of a breakout. It's a little overheated right now, but it's one that I don't trade, stocks that are typically below $10.
Yeah, exactly. And just looking at the chart, it looks like kind of a minuscule move. but the stock is up, about 30% in 2 days. If you just actually do the percentage return. So again, that's why it's really kind of hard to trade some of these really smaller stocks, really
Mhm.
small float, small market cap. Again, had just a crazy day of volume 2 days ago. Again, still seeing outsized volume today. And those are the things that, with those larger stocks, larger market cap, bigger floats, things like that, more consistent volume. Even when you get those bigger days, it doesn't have these, it doesn't cause the stock to move 30% in 2 days. So, again, you totally agree. Really tough to trade. But again, just looking at the trend here, obviously looking at the past year in a pretty substantial downtrend,
Mhm.
it really hasn't quite shown me that it's reversing yet, despite the move of the last 2 days. But certainly, anybody that, got in the stock a couple days ago or, really within the, call it the last month, I'm sure they're probably pretty happy because, it's well off of the lows from late November. So, not one I'd be looking to trade personally. Kind of hard to read the trend here, what's going on. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Okay, now Blaine, let's go ahead and pick it up. And we have a lot of symbols that we need to get to. So,
Let's do it.
let's
Let's do it. Start going through them fast.
Chance asked about BE, Bloom Energy.
BE, Bloom Energy, man, this is one that just took off with the AI trade. It's
Oh,
come back recently, really going parabolic again. So, stock went parabolic, it sold off, and then it went parabolic again. So, yeah, I would say it's pretty overheated. Looking at my charts, Helaine, what do you
great.
think?
Yep, it looks overheated. It is on a confirmed buy signal, but overheated. If I were to be looking to enter the position, I'd be waiting for a pullback within the channels.
Yep, totally agree. I know, it's a stock that has some valuation concerns, from people that, look at it from that lens. But yeah, it's just technically speaking, it isn't an uptrend. It's super overbought again. I would be waiting for a better entry.
Okay, next up, you heard this, asked about thoughts on iron. You guys love iron. We talk about every time. He said, thoughts on iron, been in it since 48. Okay, let's see.
All
Let's
righty.
Okay, interesting. Another one, a huge momentum play that we had seen towards the end of last year that also sold off, which a lot of these momentum plays did into the late 25, and then bottomed out mid-December and is starting to pick up momentum, pick up steam from there, making a series of higher highs and higher lows. I don't hate where it's at. I mean, I do think that it's trying to resume a previous bull trend and it's not overheated, so I'd consider an entry on it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I couldn't agree with you more, Helene. Again, this is one, it was a just crazy momentum stock, went parabolic, rallied multiple hundreds percent just last year. It was due to give some of that back. It did that, consolidated some of those gains. It certainly looks like it's starting to try and reverse trend. Trend lines say that, we have a crazy momentum move off of those mid-December lows. Also too, like you said, it's not extremely overbought despite the really substantial move. So, one that I'd be looking at too.
Okay, next up is from Buzz, and he's asking about NOW. And real quick, guys,
Oh,
if you
that's a
guys
tough
are in
one.
the Truck Room and you're enjoying this, thank you so much for being here. Give us a like, give us a follow. We do these every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Also, in on my profile, you can sign up for a free weekly newsletter. I'll also post that link in the comments if you'd like to sign up for that free weekly newsletter, or you can also personal message me to get signed up for it. So feel free. But thank you guys so much again. And next up, as I said, was NOW.
Yeah, I got ServiceNow pulled up right here.
Oh,
Helene, obviously,
oof.
software and technology has just been a horrible place to hide out in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
These stocks have been getting slammed, some worse than others. I know this stock was, kind of a market favorite for a number of years. Obviously, had some really rough trading in the past year. And here just recently, I mean, it is getting pretty oversold at these
It is.
levels, at least in the short term. But one thing that really stands out to me, one, it's near the lows of the day, just focusing on today. It's down to about 2% near the lows of the day. But just this week's trading, was pretty significant because if you look back about 7 or 8 months, looking back to April of last year, some of those, levels where support came in for this stock. I mean, think about it. Where the market was, where the sentiment was in, March and April of last year, amidst that whole storm around tariffs, kind of tariff tantrum, everything like that. This stock is broken below those levels now. That would be a significant cause of concern for me,
Yeah.
because market sentiment is nowhere near that. We're near all-time highs in the market, and this thing just broke below its levels, dating back to then. So that's very concerning to me.
Yeah, very bearish. It's on a confirmed bearish trend. I look to trade it accordingly with a put option or a put option spread, but I'd wait until it's no longer oversold and it's trading back within the Keltner channels, and no longer at oversold levels on RSI as well. Because right now it's at 22. Anywhere below 30 RSI is really considered oversold.
Yep,
So I would.
totally agree.
Next up from NNB Three Dogs, he said,
I
"What's going on with?"
love these names.
Yeah, me too. What's going on with AMAT today? Uh,
AMAT.
and he also asked about NVO, which we had talked about. NVO was down today because there was a delay in the pill version of GLP-1s. We were saying that it's an interesting position right now for NVO. It's still in a confirmed short-term bull trend. And personally, I would look to enter it once I saw a resumption of the previous bull trend. So another up day, and I'd probably consider an entry for it because the overall trend is good. But AMAT, I apologize, Blaine.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, this one, obviously, Helaine, we've been seeing semis just rally
Woo!
very powerfully in the last couple months. It's been, despite, kind of some of the muted moves and consolidation in tech, we haven't seen that across much of the semi space. Many of the semis were kind of having a nice industry-wide move here. I know TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, reported just this morning, had some really great things to say, just, continuing to, underscore the massive demand they're having for building chips, particularly related to AI, but memory chips, things like that. Obviously, these guys, Applied Materials, your KLACs of the world, things like that, Lam Research, they're providing some of the really important inputs to be able to build those chips. So anything kind of connected to that narrative just kind of skyrocketed today. Huge move, obviously very overbought at these current levels. It's up 8% on the day, and it's off of the highs. It was up more earlier,
Wow.
way extended above the upper Keltner channel. But with
Yeah.
that said, it's due to come in, consolidate, a little bit. Certainly, again, you can only remain overextended for so long,
Yes.
but a very powerful uptrend in the semis here.
Absolutely. Next up, this is from Joel. He asked about the thoughts on the trend for Oscar and CCCX. But let's start with Oscar,
Is that
what is
OSCR?
OSCR.
Yeah. What do you think, Elaine?
I think that there are better opportunities within the healthcare sector right now. I mean, from a sheer trend following viewpoint, that the trend is non-existent, it's chopping all over the place. I personally would be looking elsewhere for opportunities, especially because the healthcare sector is taking off right now. It looks a lot of those big names in healthcare are very, very strong. I'm thinking, what am I thinking of? Why is my mind blank right now? HCA is a nice one. I'm thinking what was it, Lilly before, yeah, before today it was a strong one. Overall the healthcare sector is really strong,
There's a
and
lot of opportunities in healthcare. Yeah.
there, there are better names out there right now personally.
Yeah, totally agree.
Why don't you look at CCCX?
CCC, so triple
Oh,
CX.
yes, that's correct.
Churchill Capital Core. Again, this is not one I've ever heard of before.
Same.
Looks like a pretty small market cap company here. Again, I'm not really sure exactly what they do or if this is a stock or an ETF. Really not sure. Um, but it looks like it hasn't been publicly trading all that long. It really started trading back in July, so not a lot of data to go off of here. Obviously, whatever they do, it was very popular in September and October of last year. The thing actually went vertical. Was due to give some of that back. It did, and seems like it's starting to trade higher now. So, just from a technical perspective, looks like it's starting to get more constructive. But again, I don't really know much about these guys or what this asset actually is. Um,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard to give you a full opinion on what it is, but. Just technically speaking, it looks like it's starting to try to build a new uptrend.
Mhm.
So that's constructive, but probably not something I'd be looking to trade given the size of the market cap.
Okay, I like it, Blaine. Next up is from Jim Clifford, and first of all, he just said "Go Bills," but
Josh Allen, go Bills.
he also said MTB comment. Oh, okay. I really like like this chart and this trend
Oh,
quite.
wow.
I love today's movement too. After a pullback off the upper Keltner channels, I mean, it bounced off of that middle and now looks like it's trying to trade higher. I really like MTB.
Yeah, good find, Jim.
And Leo said go Bills as well. Just want to throw that out there. Blaine, any thoughts on MTB?
I've got thoughts on MTB and the Bills, but MTB looks great. Like I said, great find there, Jim. Really great ticker to throw out there. The trend looks great. Also, yeah, big Josh Allen fan. As long as they're not playing against our Niners in the Super Bowl, if it's anybody else, he's got my vote for hoping they win. So
B Stein also said also go Bills.
apparently we have a new America's team now. We've settled that here on today's TOD Live. Cowboys, throw them out the window. The new America's team apparently is the Bills now. So
My
glad
God.
we settled that.
Okay, let's see. Kyle said, "Have you seen the Venezuelan futures market? IBVC, after the capture of their president, it went parabolic.
What IVBC?
IB as in boy, VC. Oh, I that doesn't come up for me.
Yeah.
Okay, next up then, Wes asked about Hutch. Okay, this is another favorite
Yeah.
one,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Bitcoin mining. And interesting. Okay. This one obviously was a part of that huge momentum swing towards the end of the year after a really strong pullback. This one came back extremely strong. I mean, that bull trend that we've seen off of that December low, very, very powerful, very volatile, but very powerful, higher highs and higher lows. I like where it's at. I also like today's movement is a hammer, which can often signal trading higher. I like this positioning. I'm not gonna lie. Blaine, what do you
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Seeing it, pull back yesterday, get back out of that overbought territory. It's obviously, it sold off earlier this morning. It's come back nicely, so it's kind of setting up, with that nice hammer pattern we always like to see on a good reversal day, Helaine. Yeah, I think there's certainly a lot to like about that chart with Hut.
totally couldn't
And
agree
by the
more.
way, you guys are cracking me up in the comments with the football comments. Maybe we should
But
have a separate sports talk show, Helene, too, where we do stocks the first hour and sports the second hour. Some of you guys are cracking me up.
Bill's Mafia travels well.
You guys are too much. I appreciate the comments, though.
Yeah, we love comments, guys. We love the engagement. Next up, Slayer XL asked about AXON. AXON. Oh, interesting here.
Still
After
looking nice.
strong defined bear trend. It is clearly trying to bottom out after a November low and making a nice series of higher highs and higher lows. Not currently overbought, although trading near that upper channel. I like that. I like this chart. I personally, it's not over that 35-day EMA yet. Or sorry, it's not yet over that 200-day moving average yet for me, but I like the overall trend. What do you think, Blaine?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, it had some pretty rough trading last year, kind of through the end of the year, started to try and get constructive in December, and it's continued that through the beginning of this year. So, looking at my trend lines again, they haven't quite, created, had that nice bullish convergence yet, created that new buy signal. But I mean, just looking at the pattern of the past, call it month and a half of trading, very constructive. Obviously, a lot of things to like here. Definitely looks like the stock's trying to turn around. It's going to start running into some resistance here pretty soon. Just looking at the chart, but if it can power through that and keep this nice constructive uptrend, Axon might be trying to build on something here.
Okay, I like it. And quick comment on the football because guys, you guys are just throwing them out here without us. Public also does not like the Cowboys, but says go Bills. Wes says I'm a Bears fan. Bear down. Bert said the Bears are still not doing great. Okay. All right, guys.
I told you the comments were hilarious on the football topic.
They are very funny, guys. Next up, let's see. We had JJKE asked about USAR. USAR. Oh,
Okay,
okay. I don't really know this company. USA Rare. Is it rare earth metals or
I
rare?
would assume so. Yeah, given the name, yeah.
Okay. Well, right now it's kind of chopping all over the place. No clear trend right now. I'd personally be staying away for the moment. Blaine, what do you think?
It's interesting because if you pull up a chart, obviously, given the name of this U.S. rare earth, I would assume they're into mining rare earth metals. If you pull up a chart of, XLB, the material space,
Mhm.
that whole space is experiencing a lot of nice momentum right now. It's in a great bullish uptrend. Not seeing this one participate right here, and it's really kind of in a buzzy space. And obviously, you see some of that last year where everybody was talking about rare earths around the dinner table because it was in the zeitgeist, and like, oh, we have to get our rare earths. China has all of them. It was like everybody was talking about it. Then
Yeah.
that kind of faded, and it looks like the stock price did too. It's just back in this consolidation. It's not participating with the materials to the upside. I think there's probably better opportunities out there.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. We have plenty more tickers, but real quick, I'm going to take a moment. Leo said, can you briefly talk about finding the middle strike price between the bid and the ask, or do you pay the ask in every situation? So when
A
it
great
comes
question.
to trading, Blaine and I like to pay the midpoint between the bid and the ask. So it's neither the bid nor the ask. It's halfway in between. That's what we place our limit order at. And in every situation, we're using a limit order halfway between the bid and the ask. Now, if we can't get filled at that point, then we will adjust our price accordingly to ensure that we are filled within reason. But our go-to always is halfway between the bid and the ask.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's a really great question there, Leo. I'm glad you brought that up. Really important note there. Yeah, it's just kind of just kind of built into our trade, management discipline. It's
Yeah.
taking the limit, setting a limit price for our option orders at that midpoint price between the bid and the ask. It's just, kind of just building that in as a fundamental thing we do. It's, just trying to help us manage risk, avoid, adverse fills, things like that. So,
Yeah,
great.
if you're on the TikTok, if you're enjoying what you're seeing real live every Tuesday and Thursday, give us a like, give us a follow. I also just shared a link to our free weekly newsletter. You can either use that link or you can personal message me to get signed up. It's totally free, just additional weekly insights from Blaine and myself. We love being live with you all. And I think we're ready now to jump into the next one. Bert said, buy silver yet?
We have not bought silver yet, but I know it's still just taking off. It's given back some today, but it's rallied really strongly intraday. So, yeah, I know silver's still just continuing to take off. Again, the reason that we have not, Bert, is just because, again, certainly there's trends like this that we'll miss out on from time to time. But we have a rules-based discipline approach to the markets. We're following our technical analysis, and again, this one, just kind of like I said the other day, it's one that it just really has never given us an opportunity. It's never really let us in because it's remained overbought for so long. And I see the great price action it's put together, but eventually it is going to give some of that back, and see that move collapse, in reverse and give back some of those gains. It's just inevitable. There's always going to be profit taking in the markets.
Of course.
But yeah, Helaine, anything else to add to that?
No, Blaine, I think you covered it there. Let's go ahead. Next up, I apologize, just take me a moment here. Okay, from Donk Town asked about SoFi.
SoFi. Okay, let's see here. I know we have a couple tickers in the Zoom chat too, Helene, so let's hop into those next.
Okay, so SoFi is an interesting one. It really had been on a great run towards the mid to later half of 25, and then it broke down a bit and started trading fairly sideways, but slightly down. It still has remained fairly tightly range bound, I would say, right around 26 for the past over a month. I would hold off until I see a clear breakout, ideally above that 30-ish level. Then I'd look for an entry. So I'd be waiting for that.
Yep, exactly. I do like that, with the consolidation, it really hasn't meaningfully dropped below, about 26,
Yeah.
25 and a half. I mean, there was, one day where it did and it rallied right back up. So,
Mhm.
I like that it's building this base right here. I think it could be setting up for a nice move, maybe in, Q2, something like that, once we finally get some, breakout of this recent consolidation. But again, like you said, you need to see it break out to the upside and see those support levels continue to hold.
Absolutely. And Summit said, I love SoFi. Okay, nice. I mean, I can't say that I don't like it. That's for sure. I like SoFi. Blaine, okay, in the Zoom room. Go ahead. What are we at?
Yeah, I know Dell put in there a little while ago. He put HP, so I'm assuming he means the oil services company HB, I believe.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll just look at that ticker. I don't think he's talking about the PC maker HP or anything like that. But yeah, just looking at HP right here, obviously, very powerful trend that's broken out here for HP. It's about as clear of a
Wow.
technical bottom as you'll see that formed in June and July, August last year, and it's gotten really constructive, very powerful trend line buy signal right here. In December, it consolidated. It had a bit of a retracement, traded down to that middle channel, traded sideways for a bit, and then took off yet again. And now the stock's started to encroach up to its 52-week high. So if this trend continues, it could be sitting at new 52-week highs in pretty short order.
I really, really like this one quite a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably look to enter a call option purchase on that one today.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, great find there, Dell.
Awesome.
Sticking in the energy space, though, Helene, we also have MPC coming into the
NPC.
Zoom chat.
Let's do NPC.
Yeah, let's do it. So MPC right here. This one, not the biggest fan of this chart here, Helene.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I don't love that move. I definitely don't love that swing down that we saw right at the beginning of the year. That's not great. I mean, it is rallying back off those lows, but it doesn't confirm the full trend reversal yet, in my opinion.
Yep, exactly. And again, right now, we are seeing some pretty nice momentum, in several different pockets of the energy sector, which is something we have been able to say for some time. With that said, I know there's some other stocks out there that look a lot better.
Hmm.
If you talk about, some of the oil majors, whether it's the Exxon, Chevrons of the world, even some of the other refiners have a little bit better charts than this one here. So, yeah,
Better opportunity.
pretty lukewarm on this one right here. It still hasn't broken that downtrend. It started in November of last year, so be looking for other opportunities personally.
I couldn't agree more. Blaine, are there any more in the Zoom room?
We do have one from John. He put BHP in there, and we
BHP.
might have some more down below. Have to look past all the football comments in here. Here we go.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Okay, next up is so BHP. This is an interesting one.
Hmm.
What is this? But I don't.
So it's in the material sector. Again, sorry, it's not one that I frequently look at, so I don't want to say exactly what they do. But again, this is really really well illustrates the move that's happening across much of the material space right now. Again, it's a sector we don't often talk about, but it's having a nice moment right now. It's kind of having its moment in the limelight, and this is one stock. We've talked about some of the steel stocks, some of the other material stocks. A lot of them are looking really good right now. And this one, it's a little overbought at current price levels, but great trend that this thing is built.
Absolutely, absolutely couldn't agree more. Let's see. In their Zoom room, Leo said made the trade, talked to Gabe,
Ooh,
and next
awesome.
said John. John said, "Are you staying with the MS trade?"
Oh yeah, yeah, Helene. What are your thoughts here with MS? Obviously, huge move today.
Yeah, yeah. This is more of like a management question. Like, how do I manage a trade after I enter it? So the ideal scenario is that when I'm entering call option purchase for MS, I would have ideally purchased multiple contracts. And the reason for that is oftentimes we like to take partial profits on a position, especially if we get a quick return on a trade. So 25% return or higher, we ideally like to go ahead and exit out of a partial position. And then from there, we like to, if the trend is continuing and breaking out higher, we let that winner keep winning and hold on to that position. So, right now, MS is pretty overheated, I have to say. Huge move today. But if I was still holding on to a contract here, I would, probably just be holding onto it to keep that trade open, let that winner keep winning, if I'd already taken partial profits on it.
Yep, yeah, I totally agree with you there. I know we have several, trade recommendations out there in some of our trade alert services for our members for MS.
Hmm.
We've been bullish on this one for a long time, and it's continuing to prove us right. I mean, it's just a great move today.
Hmm.
Obviously, kind of gave some back. Not a massive sell-off by any means in the past couple days, but great earnings report today, just boosted them right back up to new all-time highs. Yeah, there's a lot to like about MS.
Yeah. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Next up, let's see. Blaine, SB 500 tactician said, hi, hello, welcome in. Kai said, what about Tesla? Oh, if I
Tesla.
If I skip somebody's, I apologize. We'll get back to you next for EQIX Slayer Excel. So Tesla from Kai, TSLA. Ouch.
What do
I
you
don't.
think about Tesla?
I They have been such a tough one because, we've talked about them a number of times over the months, and they keep showing signs of stability within this bullish run, and then they keep just having these wild swings down, corrective swings. I'm not bullish right now on Tesla in the short term. They're making a series of lower highs and lower lows. I'd be staying away for the moment. If I were to be entering them in the future, it would be with a call option debit spread to provide downside protection for me with the trade.
So I totally agree with you there, about how I'd look to trade this one. That's always kind of been my favorite way to trade Tesla. I've never personally owned the shares. I obviously owned it through, ETF holdings, things like that. But obviously been a big fan. That's always been my favorite way to trade this one is with the call debit spreads. They carry a lot of premium, have very liquid options. It's a really great candidate for that. Uh, I'm a little bit more moderately bullish on this. So let me kind of talk through the reasons why. So with this one, if you look at just call it the past 4 months, we had the big move up in September. So really kind of from that move on is where I'm focusing in on. The
Okay.
stock is traded in about a 100-point range. You see it traded down in November to about 390. In
Hmm.
December, it had a big move up right after that, right on the back of that sell off moved up to about 490. So, those are kind of your bands on this range right now. It's just traded right back down to, basically the midline of that range. So it's traded pretty wide range, 100-point range in the past 4 months. It's, right back down there to the middle. It's and not in a, long-term downtrend. Overall it's in a longer-term uptrend, but just focusing on the past couple months, if you look, it made that low in November right there, down around 390. It traded up and then it sold off again, in the back half of December through present. And it's seemingly trying to put in a new higher low if you look at really the last 2 months.
Hmm.
So if you're seeing that higher low come in, around 425, if that holds and the stock continues to get bullish off of that and start, gaining some new momentum, trading higher, start pushing up around to that 455, 460 level. If it starts to clear up around that level, I would actually probably get pretty bullish on Tesla.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I like the thesis, Blaine.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have time maybe just for two more guys. The next one was for Slayer XL EQIX.
EQIX. Okay, Equinix here. Interesting. This is not one we've looked at for some time. Kind of a tough chart. That might be why we haven't looked at it too much recently. It's had a really big move in the last month and a half. So that's encouraging, but it still hasn't shown me enough. Me personally, Helaine, hadn't shown me enough to see a trend reversal here. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I'd want to see it trading above that 850 level in order to confirm the resumption of a longer term bullish trend. Obviously, in the short term, it's breaking out right now. You can't deny that. But for a longer term breakout, I would be waiting for further confirmation.
Yeah,
Um,
totally agree.
let's do one last one. APLD. This is from JJKE. APLD.
Man, there's a lot of noise on the chart for this one here. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this one's all over the place. I will say I own like maybe one share of APLD. Um,
Full
and
disclosure,
yeah,
Helaine owns the stock.
maybe literally maybe one. Um, but it is absolutely all over the place. And so yeah, I don't I don't know. There's no trend right now for me personally. I mean, it's just too choppy. What do you
Yeah,
think?
it's just been up and down and up and down. Like you said, real no discernible trend here. It's been up over the past 2 weeks, but again, just you zoom out a little bit further than that, chart's kind of all over the place. It looks like it's trying to push up through those all-time highs. If it does it, maybe then we start to have a different conversation. But it recently traded up there. It's failed to pull back. So
Mhm.
we need to see a little bit more of a, decisive move breakout where I would, start to, get really encouraged by it.
Couldn't agree more. Well, Blaine, I think that we've gone ahead. I know we need to jump back into the markets. But guys, for you in the TikTok room, We hope that you've really enjoyed this. If you have not yet, go ahead, give us a like, give us a follow. We also have a free weekly newsletter. I went ahead and just sent it in the comments, so you can access it there. You can sign up there, or you can go to my profile and you can click the link there, or even send me a personal message and I can get you signed up for that. But we absolutely love getting to be live with you all here. We love getting to look at your charts and do this technical analysis with you. It's way more fun doing it here with you live than alone behind our computers, which is what we do all day. So love the opportunity to be here with all of you, both of you, also in the Zoom room as well, getting to answer your questions, look at your charts, look at your trades, and have this back and forth and talk about football. So,
Yeah.
Blaine.
Yep. Sorry, the Zoom feed kind of timed out there for a second. I apologize. But yeah, totally agree. Again, really appreciate all of you taking some time to join us here, both on the TikTok room and also in the Zoom room. Again, thank you so much for being here. We can't say how much we appreciate all you guys being here. Thanks for all the, great engagement. I love all the stock tickers. Again, like Helaine said, we love doing the technical analysis here live, kind of, putting our thoughts out there, telling you what we see, help to teach you, help to educate you about how we watch the markets, how we look to trade them. And yeah, Helaine, like you said, a little football commentary or, kind of whatever's going on aside from the market, obviously that's always fun as well. So I appreciate all the fun comments there, guys. But with that said, that's all we have for today. So we'll be back here. Obviously, markets are closed on Monday, but we'll be back here next week on Tuesday for the first trading day of the week. Probably a lot to be breaking down by then. So we'll be looking forward to it. We'll have different things to talk about. So we'd love to see all of you back here live on Tuesday.
And Blaine, real quick, in the Zoom room, we had a question, where can we follow you? So Blaine and I also have TikToks, which we're live streaming on right now as well. So you can follow us there. We're also starting to build out a YouTube channel, so you can check us out there as well. Holland, I will add you onto that mailing list. So thank you all so much again. And Wes, if you just go to my profile, there's a link to get signed up there. You can also just send me a personal message if you want to get signed up. Just provide me with your email and I'll get you signed up for that newsletter. So thank you all so much. We absolutely loved today. Love all this. Hope everyone has a great weekend and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Yep, absolutely. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.